another episode of Going All In, Get the Edge You Need to Succeed. My name is Dr. Erin McKinley, and today I have another awesome spotlight session with a Louisiana local program, Louisiana Tech University, based in Ruston, Louisiana. And we have with us today Dr. Vicky Green and Amy Hogan. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you. So before you dive into telling us all about your program, tell us a little bit about yourselves and your journeys to becoming registered dietitians and how you landed at Louisiana Tech.
Okay. I am from Shreveport, so I'm a Louisiana native. I actually started in pharmacy school and then started with the idea that I wanted to be a pharmacist. And through some different career coaching, I found the profession of dietetics. And I actually am a graduate of Louisiana Tech. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree from Louisiana Tech, and I also finished my DI there. When I finished the internship and became a dietitian, I spent about 15 years working for LSU Ag Center in the Shreveport area, and I completed my PhD actually commuting to Denton, Texas at Texas Women's University. I got married and moved to West Monroe, but was still commuting to Shreveport. And about 3 years ago, I was offered a position at Louisiana Tech as a teaching position. And then through some different changes, right as I was coming on board, I accepted the position as the internship director. And so I have been with Louisiana Tech as the Dietetic Internship Director since March of 2018. And Ms. Hogan, I will let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you all for having us. And my name is Amy Hogan. Just like Dr. Green, I am from Louisiana Tech. I got my bachelor's and my master's degree there. I did the internship. Once I moved to Ruston, I never left. After I finished the internship and my master's degree, I worked in clinical practice. I did some long-term care, acute care, traveling in central and north Louisiana. And I really had in the back of my mind a goal that one day I wanted to get a PhD or a doctorate and at some point somehow teach in the university setting. And about 2 years ago, that door opened for me, and I've been at Tech for that long. I'm starting my third year now. And I always have the interns as part of one of their competencies talk about their goals and objectives, of course, short-term and long-term. And I tell them that one of my actual long-term goals that I wrote down as an intern was to do exactly what I'm doing now. So it's very exciting for me to be in this position working with Dr. Green, and we look forward to meeting some prospective students tonight.
So I mentioned that Ms. Hogan and I we both mentioned that we've been here we're starting our third full year here. Up until that point, the internship was, we had the director of Miss Dawn Erickson, and she was the program director for about 20 years. 25 years, I'm sorry. So she was actually the program director for both Ms. Hogan and I. And when they brought both of us on to have a internship director and a coordinator, they kind of split up some of her duties. And so actually students now get the opportunity to work with Ms. Hogan and I throughout the process. Louisiana Tech's internship is a medical nutrition therapy emphasis program. I'm sorry, let me move something on my screen here. I'm having trouble seeing, I've got a glare. Admission to our DI takes place on an annual basis. We are an 11-month program. We start in July, just after the 4th of July holiday, and then we end at the end of spring quarter in May. We are slotted for 20 positions, but we typically take anywhere from 15 to 18 students. That's a very good number for us. Students spend approximately 1,200 hours in facilities. Our DI works with over 40 facilities throughout the Ruston, Monroe, Shreveport, and Alexandria area, and our program is based on Louisiana Tech's academic calendar. In the summer quarter, which is July, August, it's approximately 6 weeks. Historically, that's been spent on campus in Ruston, Louisiana, but this past year, due to COVID, we transitioned to to an online format, and Ms. Hogan and I have really seen a whole lot of benefits to that. And as we transition to the full master's model coming up for the 2024 requirements, we are looking at keeping that for this upcoming year and beyond. And so it appears that summer quarter will be spent online, and then you would actually report to either Shreveport, you would report to campus and to either Shreveport, Alexandria, or the Monroe area for fall, winter, and spring quarters. And so let me talk just a second about that. And I've got a couple of slides on that a little bit later, but Louisiana Tech is in Ruston, Louisiana, which is right on the I-20 corridor between Shreveport and Monroe. Students pick which city they would like to participate or have all of their practicum experiences, whether they want to be in the Shreveport, the Alexandria, or the Monroe area. And that is part of our matching process and part of the ranking process. So students kind of give us a first, second, third choice for those. And then all of your experiences would be spent in that geographical area, and then coming to campus about once a month, every 3 weeks or so. Students go through a variety of different facilities, including long-term and short-term, long-term and acute care, school food service, wellness, community nutrition, dialysis centers, rehabilitation, and we also have some private practice RDs. Students spend approximately 40 hours a week in facilities, except for the weeks that students come to campus on Friday for internship class. And that's this next slide here. About every third week, about once a month, students come to class for seminar, come to Ruston for seminar class, and that's an all-day activity. And one of the things that we do require is that students take a mandatory RD exam review course and score 80% on practice exams. So we want to make sure that you are more than ready for your RD exam when you finish our program. Typically each year we have about 3 to 4 students in the Alexandria area, 4 to 5 in the Monroe area, and about 8 or so in the Shreveport area. Students usually like to know, what kind of competition am I looking at whenever I select which city I want to be in. Candidates are selected based on their GRE scores, their GPA, statement of goals, recommendation, and their volunteer and work experience. Requirement on your DPD courses, on your curriculum courses, is GPA is a 2.85 and a 290 on the GREs. Applications are reviewed by the food nutrition faculty and a preceptor committee. Of course, tech students are given a little additional consideration in the process, and then candidates are selected and placed in city of preference based on scoring and ranking. That's kind of what I said before. A couple of things that students like to know about what all they need once they're accepted. A physician statement saying that they're able to practice, proof of health insurance, professional liability insurance, of course, all the vaccines and TB skin tests, in addition to medical insurance. Some of our facilities require drug and alcohol screenings and background checks, and so sometimes those are required for different facilities. We do use the DICUS application system, and so you would have to apply through DICUS for the spring application process. I know that there are programs that don't use DICUS, but we are a program that uses the DICUS system. In addition to that, you would need your GRE scores, your DPD verification statement or the declaration of intent that you would get from Dr. McKinley, any honors or award, a personal statement, your resume, and references who can verify your academic preparation or volunteer work experience. These are not personal letters of reference. These are academic and work experience letters of recommendation. In addition to that, you would need to apply to the Louisiana Tech Graduate School. Students who are in our internship also take courses towards their master's degree. Upon completion of our program, you have 15 hours towards your master's degree. So students take a class summer, fall, winter, and spring in addition to their DI courses. And so you need to apply to the graduate school in addition to the application to our program. And there's the information there for the Louisiana Tech Graduate School. But of course, if you have any questions about applying to our program or to the graduate school, you're welcome to send Ms. Hogan or I a message. And there is all of our contact information. We are excited to be back on campus after spring quarter of being distant. And so you can usually reach Ms. Hogan in our office if you have any specific questions about the program.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That was awesome. So I have 5 questions that I ask of all directors that join us on the podcast. And these questions were put together with the help of the students to really make sure I was asking things that they really wanted to know from the directors about their programs and how to apply to their programs. So the first question is there a particular thing that you love to see when you're reading a personal statement?
As I mentioned, our applications are reviewed by all of our faculty, and so Ms. Hogan and I are actually going to both answer these questions, if that's okay, since everybody gets to see all of the applications. I look for a couple of things. I look to make sure that you've addressed the questions that are in our application packet. Why do you want to come to Louisiana Tech? Does it look like you know where you're actually sending the letter? I understand that students are sending most students are applying to multiple programs. And so, recreating the wheel on all of those personal statements, I don't expect you to rewrite a whole letter, but at least a sentence or two in there that says that you understand where the letter is applying to. I've seen letters, and I know this is something that you've asked, if there's kind of a red flag, or if there's something that kind of is a negative thing. But if a student has the wrong school written on their personal letter, I'm really interested in this university, and it's not Louisiana Tech University. I like to see that they at least have looked at our program or can say something how they think that they're a good fit for us. And I encourage students to understand that it's an application process both ways. That really make sure that you think you're a good fit for our program, in addition to us thinking you're a good fit for our program. So it's both ways. Ms. Hogan?
I'll kind of piggyback on that and really focus on the fact that it is a personal statement, and we like to hear some personal stories. Why do you want to become a dietitian? Maybe, there's been some type of life experience that you have had that has led you to where you are now. And maybe not, it's okay if you don't have that one big story, but make it personal. And just like Dr. Green said, we want to know that you're interested in Louisiana Tech, itself. And so put a little tidbit about the university or the area in there to let us know that you've done your research and you're aware of what your surroundings will be and what's offered at Louisiana Tech.
Right, perfect. So this next question is a true or false question. An applicant's resume should always be 1 page and 1 page only. And either way, why?
I said absolutely false. It really depends on the student, and it depends on the variety of your experiences. Obviously, you're not wanting to fill with a bunch of fluff by any means. You don't want to, be redundant or have extra things in there. But every experience that you've had, whether it's truly in the field of nutrition and dietetics or not, you should have some transferable skills or something that's bringing that you learned from that experience. And so, honors, awards, scholarships, work experience, all those things. And sometimes those are more than 1 page. And so if it takes more than 1 page to get it out there and get it out there clearly, take more than 1 page. That doesn't, having more than 1 page of a resume is not off-putting to me at all.
I agree. And, we don't necessarily need to see every accomplishment from your 9th grade year in high school, to make it a laundry list of things. But don't eliminate some very important information just to keep it at that 1-page goal, because that's not something that I personally even look at. If it's 2 pages, then it's 2 pages, and we read whatever it is that you give us.
All right, perfect. I agree with what you said on that one. So Vicky, you already kind of mentioned a red flag that you would notice in the personal statement, but maybe another example of something that an applicant may do that you feel is like a deal breaker, where you just don't feel they would be a good fit for your program.
There's a couple of things. We are a medical nutrition therapy focused program. And so when I say deal breaker, it's not necessarily a negative thing, but if someone has a strong interest in an area that I don't feel like we can give them those experiences, then obviously they're not a good fit for us. We want students to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. And sometimes in that situation, I realize, especially with out-of-state tuition costs and things like that, that students may say, I really just need to get into an internship, and then I'm planning to do X, Y, Z to fulfill my big career goals. I'm okay with you saying that, just to say that up front, that when you're talking about, if you want to continue on to culinary school or whatever it may be, I may not be able to give you a strong experience in that as an internship, but if you're being honest and upfront saying, hey, this is a stepping stone that we know we're a good fit and why. Don't exaggerate, and not the word lie by any means, but exaggerate. If something was required for a course and you got an experience from it, say that. It wasn't volunteer experience, or it wasn't paid work experience. It was something that you were required to do for a course, and you gained an experience from that. So sometimes I see that students will check, I volunteered, but then you read through other things, you're like, oh no, that was really something that was required for a course. There's ways to check that in that experience, Not filling out the whole application. I know sometimes I realize that the DICUS application can be a little tedious, but having all of your work experience in one place versus just saying, oh, well, I put it in my resume and I'm going to attach my resume. No, go ahead and fill out all of those sections. Ms. Hogan?
As you all know, first impressions are very crucial. And even though we're not actually meeting face-to-face typically here at Louisiana Tech for a first impression, what we see is your writing skills. We see, grammatical errors that are standing out, and a typo here and there. And, this is your one shot at telling us how prepared you are, how excited you are to come to our university. And so that's just one very simple step that you can make sure before you send your application is that you have had someone come behind you and reread your statement and your application. Also, we really rely heavily on the recommendations from others, your professors. And so if there have ever been problems with a professor, if they are saying that, there's drama that surrounds you, or any inclination that, they don't recommend you, of course, that's something that we rely on. So choose the people who you're asking to recommend you wisely, and, make sure that it's someone that you would want to represent you.
And I'll just add to that as well, speaking of letters of recommendation, these should be letters of recommendation of someone who can attest to your academic skill or your professionalism in a work environment or a volunteer environment. Everybody's aunt thinks that they're the most wonderful niece or nephew that has ever, a personal or a family member recommendation or friend, recommendation. Those aren't the types of things that we're looking for. And also, I realize that students don't have control over what people put in recommendation letters and you don't see them. But please, when you're asking for letters of recommendation, maybe with especially with a job reference. I had a student 1 year who had applied and they worked in like a Napa, an auto parts store. Lots of transferable skills with customer service and inventory management, all of these, and the supervisor checked off that they were excellent in medical nutrition therapy, they were excellent in food service management, and there was no way in the world that this manager of Napa obviously can judge. And so let people know what it is that you want them to point out when you ask them to write a letter of recommendation for you. Maybe point out, hey, I really helped out with this inventory management, or I've been a very reliable person, or I've filled in for other people. There are lots of skills that are transferable from lots of different avenues. And so just making sure you kind of help write that story, or that you're helping them point out the things that you want them to point out. Your professors, especially this time of year, they're writing lots of letters of recommendation. It's very helpful if you can point out to them, in this class, I did this project and this was a highlight of that, and this is what I learned from that, or these are the things that I participated in or volunteered in, that you're giving them a copy of your resume and helping them write that letter and helping you shine as they write that letter.
That should sound very familiar to my students. Thank you so much for that. So my fourth question is, what is one area of the program that you're actively working to try to make even better for the interns?
I mentioned that Ms. Hogan and I are new, and this position of having a director and a coordinator is new for our university. And so we are constantly evaluating our system and the way that we're doing things. We get feedback all the time from interns of what can we do to make things better. And so, just like with the summer of moving things to an online system, we got lots of feedback of how to even make that better. So we are actively engaged in the process of improving. But I will say that a couple of things that Ms. Hogan and I have really focused on is adding some, and Ms. Hogan, I don't want to take away any of your answers either. We've added additional rotations, so we're always looking for different experiences to add to our program. I didn't mention this, but just in case students were wondering, our students do not find their own preceptors or have to find their own rotations. We help you assign that with the help of your interests and those types of things. And then we have some set rotations that you would do. Students do have the opportunity to, if they want a specialty rotation or something, we can work with them to help develop those. So we're always looking to add more rotations. And one thing that we're really getting pretty good at is the second round matching process. I realize that everybody wants to match first round. But a lot of times, students are looking to, of course, you're a local university, you're a Louisiana university. So, but there are lots of places, that students in the first round process maybe don't match with their first round, and then they just kind of hear about us in the second round. So we really are upping our second round matching processes. So those are two things I would say we've worked on over the past couple of years.
Yeah, that was actually one of mine too as well, was just adding more rotation sites. But in addition to just adding the sites, something that Dr. Green and I are always doing is talking to our preceptors and helping them be better teachers, because they are dietitians and their trade is not to be a teacher, but by us placing students with them, we are, in a sense, expecting them to know how to teach. And so we go through preceptor training workshops and we help them along the way, help meet the expectations of our program. And so we're able to provide the tools. And again, with our preceptors, we go through evaluation processes to make sure that we on our end are being supportive as well.
All right. So this last question is a two-part question. So the first part is, what would be your top 3 adjectives or descriptors to describe your program?
I was studying what to say here, and I kind of wrote some things down. I'm like, I'm not sure that these are adjectives, but I'm using them as an adjective. It's personal, which is Ms. Hogan and I both mentioned that we're from Louisiana Tech. We have other professors. Dr. Fontenot is from Louisiana Tech. I mentioned that Ms. Erickson was the director. She's now our DPD director, but she was our DI director for 25 years. Dr. Camel, who recently came on as part of our faculty, she's from Louisiana. We take the success of our program very personally. So, we're not just kind of in positions for a year or two, or are looking to, use Louisiana Tech as a place to move from here to there or whatever. We're here. Ms. Hogan mentioned that, she moved to Ruston to go to college and she never moved. So we take our program very personally. So anytime we have success there, we're really working to make sure that we are always doing a good job for Louisiana Tech. We're connected. The profession of dietetics is way more connected than most people realize. You just never know who went to school with each other and who, even moving across the country, who went to an internship together or who worked on graduate studies together. And a lot of our students stay and are hired on in the facilities in which they were interns in. And then they go on to continue to be preceptors. So our connection from Louisiana Tech in our area is really good. And then the last thing I wrote was guiding. We obviously have set rules, and we have set rotations, and we have a set plan for students to go through, especially having that medical nutrition therapy focus. But we want to guide you into a way that's going to help you meet your goals. And so when you talk about research, finishing your master's degree, we don't require students to work on just our projects, that we can help you work on some projects in your interest. That, we want to kind of be there and be, stable and have a foundation for you, but help guide you in the way that you're looking to go.
Okay, my first word was flexible, and especially in the time currently that we are all experiencing with the pandemic. In the spring, it was literally on a Friday. We were all kind of normal, everybody in facilities, and within about 24 hours, I had 16 interns who had called me and said, "Hey, they're not allowing me in my facility anymore." And so Dr. Green and I, of course, we had to be flexible. We created new ways that we could do some simulated learning experiences, and we got preceptors on board with some online modules and things. And so we were flexible. We don't just kind of drop our plan A and say, sorry, we're out of luck. We have plan B and plan C, and we are willing to be flexible in, all situations that come up. That's not the only one, but I would say that's one of our strong points, is that we don't panic when something doesn't go as planned, and we come up with an alternative. Another one is unique, and Dr. Green already touched on this, that our program is unique because we have 3 different cities that we can place you in, and we get the preceptors for you. Many programs, you're responsible for gaining access to facilities and preceptors on your own. And the fact that we are a quarter system, and I know many universities now have moved to semester, but those that come from semester into our program as a quarter system, I think they're pleasantly surprised. We have 10-week quarters, and so it's kind of fast and furious, and you get in there, and now we're already at midterm in our fall quarter, and then you get a nice break before you jump into winter quarter, and it's a bit of an adjustment, but the quarter system, I view it as a positive, unique aspect. And then my third term, I would say, is superior. We are known for producing good dietitians, and that's something that we are proud of. We know that there are universities, undergraduate universities all across the country that have sent us their students, and they've gotten positive feedback from them and from preceptors. And so we're always getting people from other areas in the country because of our of the quality of students that we've produced.
All right. So the second part of that question, it's very similar. It would be 3 adjectives or descriptors to describe your ideal applicant.
Okay. The first thing I came up with, these are all kind of 3 related: self-starter, motivated, and prepared. We don't expect you to know everything, for sure, not day one, but we expect you to come to class or to the internship prepared, and our preceptors expect that too. You know, if you're starting your dialysis rotations, they expect you to come in, you know, with your dialysis resources and that you're somewhat familiar with those concepts. Not that you have all the answers, but that you know, even if you come with lots of questions, it shows that you have prepared moving forward. And then the second thing I said was aware of boundaries, which is kind of a feeder off of that. You know, it's completely okay to say, you know, I don't know this, or I'm having trouble understanding these concepts, or I want to know more about these things. We are completely open to helping you, expand that and expand your knowledge and work on this. Just being, saying, I really want to know more about this, or I really am interested in that. And then my third thing that I wrote is and I realize I'm talking to a group of Louisiana students today, but this still applies to you all. I'm just always in awe of the student who, would move across the United States, who moves across the state just to accept a position in an internship, maybe not knowing anyone. We have a lot of students who are from the North Louisiana area. A lot of our students still live at home for the internship. I was one of those students who lived at home in the internship and commuted and did things. And I'm always just, like I said, I'm just in awe of the student who does that. So, any of you, from South Louisiana, Baton Rouge, even, Lafayette moving to Alexandria, just to me, I think it shows some initiative. I think it shows some, willingness to expand your horizons when you look to do some of those things. So those are things that I always think are really interesting.
Okay, I would say my first one is focused. We can usually tell those that have outside work responsibilities, the home life responsibilities, they seem to be more stressed out, and that's just, it comes with the territory. You probably have realized that even in your undergraduate program. But coming in, you're moving cities, sometimes states, sometimes, and you're starting graduate school. There's just a lot that is changing. A lot of expectations are heightened. And if you are able to remain focused throughout that with very few external, distractions, then that's always a positive. Self-sufficient, I think Dr. Green said this, we expect you to know what it is you should be doing in facilities and not waiting on a preceptor to hold your hand through that process. You need to come in and be prepared and take initiative. And then the third one is confident, academically confident, culturally confident. Just know what it is that you're getting into, and your undergraduate programs will probably all prepare you for that academically. And we ensure that by having the certain GRE scores and GPA. But those are probably the top three that came to my mind, but all of Dr. Green's were very good as well. So I agree with hers too.
All right, that was awesome. Thank you. So I encourage the students that are with us, if you have questions and you want to put them in the chat, please do so. And we have one in the chat from Margaret who asks, what is the baseline cost for the dietetic internship?
In-state or out-of-state? In-state, I want to say we are actually updating our application packet now. I want to say it's in the neighborhood of 12 for the full year, or for the full 11 months, or 12,000 for tuition and fees and things associated with the internship. And then it's higher. I want to say it was 22 or 23 for out-of-state tuition for the 11-month program. Now, keep in mind that also includes half of your master's degree as well. And I just saw it pop up, and so I'll answer this. The past year and looking forward into the next year, we have significant scholarships that have been available to students, and they are available to all, whether in-state or out-of-state students. The way those are set up, I can't necessarily say, oh, this is $1,000 scholarship or this is a $2,000 scholarship or what, because it's based on number of applicants, and it's for full-time graduate students, and so those are usually split up from the pot of money. So I can't give you an exact number, but I can tell you that the past year, and we're expected going into next year to have significant scholarship funds for that. Also, I get, of course, the cost of living in moving to a facility, to a city, if you are not going to be living at home. I'm not sure where everyone here is from, or living with a relative or such. A couple of things that we do, the cost of living in Shreveport, Monroe, and Alexandria are all fairly reasonable cities as far as cost of living. And excuse me just a minute. Hey, I need you to go with Daddy. So the time of day, we had to come home early so that because we were going to be too late to pick up from school. So a couple of things that we do to help with that cost is, once our class is set, we'll do some exchanging of information so that anyone who's looking for a roommate and those types of things, we put you in touch with previous interns and current interns to help you find reasonable, apartments and different things. And then also, if you want roommates and such, usually students kind of pair up early in the spring to find those.
All right. So in the meantime, I'll ask another question, just in the case students are thinking of some typical number of applicants that you get each year.
40-ish.
Okay. And then job placement rate for your graduates. What is your job placement rate? And then, what are some areas that you notice they tend to gravitate more towards?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
It was, what is the job placement rate of the interns or the graduates, and then what areas do you kind of see them gravitate towards as far as practice areas?
I don't have an exact number for job placement rate to tell you right offhand, but I can tell you that the majority of our interns, we have several interns who have jobs just out of the internship. Ms. Hogan, do you have a number? I know this year's been a little skewed of those that moved across the country, just because a lot of places aren't hiring now with COVID, but I know everyone from previous 2, 3, 4, that I have access of personal knowledge, they all have positions.
Yeah, we have several interns who have come from, all corners of the state, and they moved to Louisiana in the beginning saying, I've got my ticket bought. I'm moving back home in May. We're just here for the internship. They end up getting offered jobs, and they have established families here, and they're not leaving. So a lot of times they have opportunity in the rotation sites that they have been through. One position comes open, and then of course it's just like a domino effect throughout all the facilities. So there's usually they don't have problems getting employment when they want it. Sometimes students go on to graduate school or take some time off, but we have a good successful job placement rate.
All right, perfect. And do you offer any sort of official exam review for the students or the interns, or do you have rotation exit exams to kind of help them stay in the knowledge areas so that when they do finish, they can kind of take that exam right away and pass on the first try?
One of the requirements of our internship is that you take an RD exam prep course, and so we arranged for that in the early spring. This year it's March 10th, 11th, and actually this year we typically we have a company that comes and does an on-site personal RD exam prep. This year, I think everybody's moving to an online format. But we are having our students register for that by like the 1st of January, and then they're sending out all those materials. So we'll kind of do a little bit of prep beforehand, and then that official review course is in March. The cost is fairly reasonable. I want to say it's like $375, $380, something like that. But that is in our application packets. It discusses that is a requirement of the program.
And part of our effort in supporting the students to prepare for the RD exams throughout the entire year, we give required quizzes on all of the domains that are going to be on the RD exam. So they are continually studying as they go throughout the internship. There are remediation requirements on those, and their expectations are not met. So we offer them opportunities, to grow and to learn throughout this, but we do have expectations for them to be studying throughout the whole year.
All right, perfect. If there's any more questions from the students, I'm going to open it up. If you'd like to ask your question live, you can go ahead and unmute and do that now. Okay, it's not looking like anyone's brave today. That's totally fine. Well, that's all the questions that I had. So, Vicky, one last message, one take-home message to potential applicants this year. What do you got to say?
Lots of take-home messages here. We want Louisiana students. Come to Louisiana Tech. We are excited. We love having students from LSU. We've had some great students from the DTG program, and so we're excited. If you have any questions, again, I can't emphasize enough, reach out to Ms. Hogan and I, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have before you fill out your application.
Amy, any last words of wisdom to impart on our students today?
No, nothing, no more advice other than we just look forward to hopefully hearing from you and walking you through this application process.
All right, well, thank you to the both of you for being here today. And for those at home who may want some more information about the program at Louisiana Tech, I've provided the link to their website in the description below this video. And as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode or a spotlight session with a dietetic internship. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.